welcome back. Lacey here with the Sweet Pea Chef. And now that we're following this clean eating lifestyle, we're choosing whole foods, I think it's time we talk about store-bought tomato sauce or marinara sauce. Believe it or not, so many of those tomato sauce options at the store are loaded with unnecessary and even harmful ingredients like sugar and trans fats, making them not a good thing to be pouring all over our food. So the good news though is that making your own homemade tomato sauce is actually super easy to do, and it's even better than the store-bought stuff. So let me show you how to make it. Before I forget, make sure to go and subscribe to this channel so you get my new weekly recipe videos every week and you get all sorts of healthy eating inspiration. And then go and say hi in the comments below and I'll say hi too. Our first step is to start preheating our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. For this recipe, we're gonna need either a large casserole dish or a rimmed baking sheet lined with parchment paper. You want something that has sides on it so that we catch all of those juices and those stay in our pan and not in our oven. I like using Roma tomatoes for when I make my roasted tomato sauce because they have very few seeds and they're really flavorful, but most any fresh tomatoes will work. So now we're gonna rinse off our tomatoes and make sure we remove any of the dirt because you do not want that in your tomato sauce. Also, in case you're wondering, we are gonna be roasting these tomatoes because that really intensifies the flavor of the tomatoes. You could just cook all of this on the stove, which is another option, but I love the roasting part because the garlic and the carrots and the onion and the tomato, which you will see, become so much more rich. Now we're gonna slice our tomatoes in half through the stem, and then we're gonna take those tomato halves and place them face down so the skin side is up into our casserole dish or our prepared baking sheet. Now add in some yellow onion that we've cut into wedges, a large carrot that's been diced into large chunks, and several peeled cloves of garlic. It's totally fine for the carrot and the onion to just have it be just in chunks because we're gonna be blending everything so you don't have to worry about making all the cuts perfect. And now sprinkle with a little bit of sea salt and some ground black pepper, and then you can try to make this as even in one layer as possible, but it's gonna have a little bit of overlap. So it's okay if things are on top of each other, just try to spread out as evenly as possible. Finally, we're gonna drizzle a little bit of olive oil over everything in our pan. Now we're gonna transfer this into the oven and we're gonna bake for about 60 to 75 minutes. We're looking for the tomatoes and the onions and the carrots to become tender, and the skin on the tomatoes is gonna start to wrinkle a little bit, and the onion is gonna get a little bit crispy right at the edges, and your house is gonna smell amazing. It's gonna smell like roasted garlic and baked tomatoes. It's gonna be so yummy. Now carefully remove the pan from the oven, and we're gonna let this set for a few minutes until the tomatoes are cool enough to touch. Because the tomato skin can be a little papery and can make our sauce a little chunky, if you want to remove that, which we're going to be doing today, we are just going to carefully pinch the edges of the tomatoes, and then that's going to pick up that skin. You'll see it just comes right off. And that's why we want the tomatoes to be cool enough to the touch. Now we're going to carefully transfer all of this roasted goodness, including all those juices, into either a food processor or a blender, or if you're going to mash it by hand, you can transfer it into a large mixing bowl. Then we're gonna follow that up with some tomato paste and some fresh basil leaves, and then we're gonna blend until smooth. So you might be wondering at this point why your tomato sauce looks a little bit more of like a burnt orange color rather than a deep red color. That's because when we blend our sauce, we're actually introducing a lot of air into the sauce. So there's a few ways to fix that if it really bugs you. One is you can just mash everything by hand and you just don't ever introduce that into a blender. Another is you can instead use whole peeled tomatoes that are canned instead of fresh tomatoes because those are going to be deeper in color anyway. And the other way is to actually blend all of those veggies and the tomatoes and everything together ahead of time before we cook them, and then cook them on the stove instead of the oven. So if it really bugs you, you can do any of those three steps. Personally, it tastes delicious, and I add a little bit of tomato paste to make it just a little bit of a deeper color, and it's going to be good no matter what. So at this point, just go ahead and taste the sauce, see if you need any more salt or pepper, and then add that in as needed. And if you wanted to add any custom flavors into this, like some shredded Parmesan, now would be the time as well, and then you would just blend it all together. We love using this roasted tomato sauce on so many things, like my chicken Parmesan, my spaghetti, and my sweet potato lasagna. And it's so awesome to know that what you're eating not only tastes good, but it's good for you. If you have leftovers, this tomato sauce is super easy to store. We do it all the time. Just place it into the fridge in an airtight container like a mason jar, and it'll last for up to 5 to 7 days. Or if you want to freeze it, it'll last up to 6 months in your freezer, which is really awesome. We usually divide it into like 3 to 4 cup portions and then freeze those individually. That way when you're ready to use it, you can either take it and defrost it in like some running water, or you can put it in your fridge overnight and have it ready to use the next day. Super awesome. So thanks so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and don't forget to go check out my sweet potato lasagna and my chicken parmesan meal prep recipe videos, which I've linked for you, because those are some really good recipes to use this sauce in. All right, thanks so much for being here with me today. I will see you later. Bye-bye.